Hello there you guys, welcome to my live video. So current transfer rumours to give you guys an update on, as I do on a regular basis, giving you the latest news of course and what players are linked with Manchester United. Obviously there's a lot of players on our current agenda and all that, but there's lots to negotiate on this video today. But the first topic of the development I'm going to give you an update on is in regards to Bruno Fernandes, as I have been updating you on a regular basis. So now reportedly Manchester United are set to hold more extensive talks with Bruno Fernandes' agent in London, of course, over getting a deal concluded for Bruno Fernandes. Now, obviously, reports came out about this last week, saying that Manchester United had been discussing, with Bruno Fernandes' agent over Bruno Fernandes' potential switch to Old Trafford this summer, because we do potentially, he has been one of our main priority targets. Obviously, it also confirmed last week, that Tottenham had stepped their interest up in him, and it also said that Tottenham had been in negotiations with his agent. So it did report out yesterday, this was coming from the Liverpool Echo, and they were basically saying, Liverpool are the heavy favourites, to sign Bruno Fernandes, because obviously, we do know that Liverpool have been in for him. But reportedly, Manchester United are not preparing to pay up to 60 or 70 million pounds for his services, and I think, this is what, Sporting has been demanding, and I think reportedly, we only value Bruno Fernandes at around 49 million pounds. But I think, we are focusing on getting the deal fully finalised from Wan-Bissaka, before we do step up our interest in Bruno Fernandes. So potentially Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has instructed Ed Woodward to speed up the deal for Bruno Fernandes, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said he wants the Bruno Fernandes deal completed at the earliest opportunity. He did initially say he demands Bruno Fernandes' arrival by the beginning of next month, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say last month anyway he wants the majority of our transfer business done by the 1st of July and all that. But I like Bruno Fernandes. I think we probably should pay 60 or 70 million pounds. Look at what we did last summer. We paid around 50 million pounds for Fred, and hasn't really done much at Manchester United. Hasn't really got the pedigree. You can't put Fred in Bruno Fernandes' calibre and all that. But Fred, did really well when he was at Shakhtar Donetsk, but he hasn't really done well at Manchester United. He did have a good couple of games towards the back end of last season and all that, but he hasn't really got the pedigree. So we've paid 50 million pounds for him. So I definitely believe we should pay 60 or 70 million pounds for Bruno Fernandes. But like I said, he's primarily an attacking midfielder. He's only 24 years of age, so he will fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy perfectly, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to develop a squad of young, hungry, homegrown talent and all that. And I do believe he'll rejuvenate the team if he comes in. He'll win us them goals that we do need in that midfield. He'll add depth in our midfield, of course. And I think he would be the adequate replacement for Paul Pogba with Bruno Fernandes. Did report out about, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago, saying that Ed Woodward, was very hesitant over our, move for Bruno Fernandes, because I think Ed Woodward has got reservations, about us spending big on players who he doesn't think are going to step up to the market at Manchester United. But I do believe Bruno Fernandes is the right solution. Obviously, quite a few teams have been in there for him. Obviously, Tottenham are in for him. Obviously, Tottenham have got quite a few players on their agenda, because obviously Tottenham haven't done any transfer activity in the last couple of windows. Obviously, the last player they signed was Lucas Moura, back in January 2018. So obviously, Michel Pochettino is going to want to he's going to want back in this summer and all that. So they have been in there for Bruno Fernandes. Also, Tanguy Ndombele is on Tottenham's agenda. It did say from the bookies, they are the favourites, to currently get him. Manchester United were in for him now, but I don't think Manchester United are going to get Tanguy Ndombele. Obviously, Tottenham obviously going to want a replacement for Christian Eriksen if he goes and all that. So yeah, there's been quite a few players on Tottenham's agenda, Giovanni Lo Celso, he's been one of Tottenham's main priority targets and all that. So yeah, I still believe, they are in there for Bruno Fernandes. It reported out earlier on last week, was it, saying that Liverpool had put a bid in for him of around 45 million euros. Obviously, that equates to around 40 million in pounds sterling. But we do know it's been mainly Manchester United and Manchester City that have been battling out for his services. But obviously, it confirmed the other week that Manchester City have now pulled out of the race, and they've basically, withdrawn their interest. So since City have pulled out of the race, Tottenham have entered the race, of course, Liverpool have entered the race. But I'd say at least for the last couple of weeks, according to Bowley, the Portuguese press, they've said, we are considered as one of the favourites of getting the players' signature and all that. Last season, he scored 31 goals for Sporting Lisbon, so he can score goals and all that. And like I said, he's still got a hell of a lot of development in him. He hasn't really played to the highest level as yet. Like I said, he's been at Sporting Lisbon a couple of seasons. Obviously, spent the majority of his career in Italy, when he was younger. the likes of Sampdoria and underneath and all that. So hopefully we can get a deal concluded for Bruno Fernandes. So we're set to hold further more talks with his current agent, but obviously, want to get the deal fully finalised there for Wan-Bissaka first. Obviously, before we step up our interest in Bruno Fernandes. So it's looking very likely anyway, that Wan-Bissaka is going to be our second signing this summer. I think the deal actually, could be completed today, which is very, very good news. So if we do get Wan-Bissaka on the board, I think we're probably set to get him for around £55 million. Obviously, that's going to take our net spend to around £70 million this summer on two players, because obviously, we've already got Daniel James on the board, for around £18 million. And obviously, reports reflected that last week saying that we've only been given £100 million to spend this summer. Obviously, £100 million is nowhere near enough, to address the deficiencies in the squad and all that. So I was getting Wan-Bissaka. That means we've only got around £20 million to spend, on the central defender, a couple of new additions in that midfield, the right winger and the striker. And obviously, we're not going to be able to do that, with £27 million. So I think actually the club, should orchestrate on, selling, before we can buy, when we do get the deal fully finalised there for Wan-Bissaka and all that. But yeah, like I said, guys, it's looking like he's coming in. I think it did say he was due his Manchester United medical sometime this week. Obviously, he also come out from the Mirror saying that, he was a boyhood Manchester United fan, was Wan-Bissaka. He did show you him with Manchester United top on. And Wan-Bissaka has agreed personal terms with around £80,000 a week. So I think he's going to be on around £80,000 a week at Manchester United. So his salary has been sorted out and all that. But I think we've been negotiating a fee with Crystal Palace at least for the last 3 weeks. I thought, it would have been fully finalised there by now. Obviously, he informed Crystal Palace, that he does want to join Manchester United this summer. Obviously, it did come out it did say we held further more talks at the weekend, and it did reportedly say that Manchester United had lodged a third bidding for Wan-Bissaka, because it did say, we'd met up, with Crystal Palace officials in London, to hold more negotiations over getting a deal concluded for Wan-Bissaka, and it said we had put a third bid in. Obviously, we've already had 2 bids turned down from Wan-Bissaka. Obviously, we had a bid turned down of £50 million. Obviously, it was 35 million up front we'd offered, with 15 million in add-ons. But obviously, Crystal Palace didn't like the structure of the offer, so obviously, they turned this down. And obviously, the first bid we had turned down was around £40 million. So basically, Crystal Palace have said, they want around £45 million up front. Possibly, there could be add-ons included in the deal. It did reportedly say, one of the bids included an add-on of us winning the Champions League, but obviously, Crystal Palace know how unrealistic, that is. So more or less, Crystal Palace more or less are demanding, the same amount, as what Manchester City, paid for Kyle Walker a couple of years ago from Tottenham, because City, got Kyle Walker for around £50 million. But reports broke out, where was it last week? Obviously, this was stemming from Duncan Castles, and he said Manchester United agreed a world record fee of around £55 million for Wan-Bissaka and all that. Obviously, this will make him the most expensive fullback in Premier League history, also make him the most expensive, British defender. I think also Crystal Palace have said, if they're willing to let Wan-Bissaka come to Manchester United, they want to reduce Wilfried Zaha's selling clause, or even, remove Wilfried Zaha's selling clause, what saw him, make the return back to Crystal Palace from Manchester United and all that. But like Wan-Bissaka a lot, like I said, I think he's definitely, worth around £50 million. His defensive capabilities are very, very good. He is only 21 years of age. Obviously, he is predominantly a right back, and obviously, we've got to address that right hand side. I'm actually sceptical of us bringing a right winner in this summer, because we definitely do need a right winner, but at least we are getting a right back in, of course. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka so far spent the entirety of his career with Crystal Palace. Obviously, he's been a Crystal Palace player since the age of 11, and obviously, when he was actually younger, he was an out-and-out winner, was Wan-Bissaka, but as he was developing and all that, he got reverted as a fullback, due to his tenacity and all that, and he broke into Crystal Palace's senior squad in February of last year. So he is proven in the Premier League, and I think last season established himself as a first team regular for Crystal Palace. I think he's still got 3 years left on his deal and his contract with Crystal Palace and all that, and I think he's made about 40 senior appearances. But like I said, we have got issues defensively. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's priorities are, when we do get a right back in, is to get a central defender in and get a midfielder in. So I think there is next priority. priorities and all that. But we have got issues defensively, and obviously that was proven last season because we conceded 54 goals in the Premier League, last season in 38 Premier League games. Obviously our highest total in 40 years. So like I said, we've got to get our number one targets this summer, which is very, very essential. We've got to get the right players that can elevate Manchester United forward, because last season was disappointing. We finished sixth. We didn't win many silverware and all that. We haven't won any silverware in the last couple of seasons, so we do need to see vast improvements going on into this season and all that. Quite a few people said we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer, and obviously I think we actually are moving away from the policy of signing them well established players, because obviously we've got a history of spending big on players, especially in recent years. Pogba, £8 to £9 million, Lukaku, £75 million, with several add-ons including the deal, which did potentially rise it to around £90 million. So potentially Paul Pogba and Romelu Lukaku are our two most expensive signings, but it's looking very likely that Pogba and Lukaku are going to be leaving Manchester United this summer. But I think that will be good for us. It will help us with our rebuilding process, it will help us with our transition, and it will obviously help us generate funds. And I think we can generate around maybe £200 million, for the departures of Paul Pogba and Romelu Lukaku and all that. But Solskjaer said, he wants to bring at least 5 new additions to the squad. But I thought initially the spending spree was around £200 million. But like I said, it's going to be hard for us to attract players to the highest level, because obviously we're not in a Champions League football for next season, and obviously Champions League football is always very pivotal, when you do want to get your number one targets. But like I said, Wan-Bissaka, will rejuvenate the team. I think he'll be fantastic for Manchester United. He's going to rejuvenate his career and take his footballing career to the next level when he comes to Manchester United. Obviously, like I said, only 21 years of age, plus he's British, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to recruit British talents to Manchester United this summer. I think he'll be a great replacement for Antonio Valencia and Wan-Bissaka, because obviously we know Valencia is leaving the club after he's served 10 years with Manchester United, Antonio Valencia. So he's been a long-serving player here. He'll be a fantastic upgrade to Ashley Young. Obviously, Ashley Young's been here 8 years, so he's been another long-serving player in the club. It was a bad mistake for Manchester United, giving him that new 1-year extension and all that, and obviously he's no longer got the ability to fulfil that right back position. Obviously he was our first choice right back last season, and he's past his sell-by date. He's 31, he's nearly 34 now. Sorry, he's 33, nearly 34 now. He's Ashley Young, so he's past his sell-by date, and I think he'll be fantastic covered up for Diego Dalot, because obviously Diego Dalot's inexperienced at the moment. So yeah, Wan-Bissaka will be fantastic for Manchester United. Like I said. I want to give you some latest news about Paul Pogba. So now I've been reading more reports about Paul Pogba. I'll talk about Lukaku with you after. Now, reportedly from Paul Pogba's preference, he does prefer a move to Juventus over Real Madrid. But we do know for quite some time now, his likely destination has been Real Madrid, and obviously his first choice preference has been Real Madrid, for quite some time. But now there's been a change of scenery, and reportedly, he does prefer a move back to Turin, because Paul Pogba said, was it the other week, he told reporters in Tokyo, that he's seeking for a new challenge. He said he basically, wants to leave Manchester United, and obviously, he publicly announced this for the first time, and he even did say he was willing to force a move away from Manchester United. He was even willing to go on strike, to force a move away from Manchester United and all that. But like I said, he's been relentlessly linked with Juventus. He's been relentlessly, linked with a move to Real Madrid and all that. But reportedly now he wants to make the move to Juventus. Obviously, the Juventus directors, explained how much Juventus love Paul Pogba, because Paul Pogba did have 4 good years in Turin and all that. He exceeded expectation levels. He did really, really well. But he hasn't really replicated this form since he did make the return to Manchester United. Obviously, we paid £89 million for him and all that. Like I said, more than likely, maybe Juventus would have to offload 1 or 2 of their essential players to fund the move for Paul Pogba, because I don't think Juventus would be able to afford him outright, because obviously we have put a huge transfer fee on Paul Pogba, because we actually indicated that Paul Pogba is not for sale, but I think it did say we would accept a bid in the region of around £150 million. But yeah, Juventus have got a budget. They're doing well so far this summer. Obviously they've already got Ramsey on the board, looking like they're going to get Adrian Rabiot on the board, so he's obviously out of the equation of coming to Manchester United. Obviously it's looking like they're going to get Matty Stillett on the board, so they're having a really, really good window Juventus, but I don't think they'd be able to afford Paul Pogba outright. So maybe they would have to offload a couple of essential potential players, to fund the move for him, of course. But yeah, now he reportedly, wants to make the return back to Turin. But obviously, Real Madrid have obviously, been heavily linked to him. Obviously, it's just one of Zinedine Zidane's main priority targets. Obviously, Real Madrid so far have got 5 players on the board this summer, and I think they have spent I think they've spent nearly £300 million on these 5 players. Obviously, they did spend £150 million on Eden Hazard, but I don't think Real Madrid anywhere are willing to pay up to £150 million for Paul Pogba. Obviously, it came out quite a few weeks back, saying that Real Madrid, willing to offer as Gareth Bale in a transfer offer for Paul Pogba and all that. But maybe he will now make the return back to Turin, Paul Pogba, because there's been a change of scenery. Because initially, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says he doesn't want to sell him. He knows how much of an imperative player Paul Pogba is. Solskjaer was saying towards the back end of last season he was confident he would be at Manchester United, next season and all that. But I think now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to sell him. The main factor reason why he wants to sell Paul Pogba is to generate funds and all that, and help rebuild the squad. Even though we do know how much of an imperative player he is. Obviously, Paul Pogba's still got 2 years left on his contract with Manchester United, with an option to extend it by a further year, and he's on about £290,000 a week. And it reported out last week, saying that we were set to hand Paul Pogba a loyalty bonus. I think he's set to be given he's set to be handed this loyalty bonus at the beginning of next month, reportedly. And it did reportedly say we are willing to offer him a long-term contract, worth up to £500,000 a week. But I think, maybe the couple of main factor reasons why Paul Pogba, wants to leave Manchester United, because maybe he wants to be playing amongst better players and he isn't playing amongst good enough players at the club. Maybe he wants to be in Champions League football, so it's going to be hard for us anyway, to convince him to stay at the club, because we're not in Champions League football. Maybe he wants to be winning silverware and challenging, and of course he's not experiencing this at Manchester United, and he is 26 years of age, is Paul Pogba. He has still got a lot of years ahead of him, so probably wants to rejuvenate his career. It came out about 3 weeks ago saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was willing to offer him the captaincy in a bid, to convince him to remain at the football club. Like I said, we have seen glimpses of Paul Pogba's best form. We mainly saw it in that 3-month period when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager. That's when we mainly saw the best of Paul Pogba, and we mainly saw the best of him, of course, when Ander Herrera was playing. I think last season, though, his stats were impressive. He scored 16 goals and provided 11 assists in about 47 games in all competitions for us. Obviously, Paul Pogba was subject to a lot of transfer speculation last year, based on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho. I think there was talks about him going to Juventus last year. There was also talks about him, going to Barcelona, back in January. But I do believe he's going to be leaving, so it's very, very essential, that we do get him a replacement for him. And I think Bruno Fernandes, would be definitely, the adequate replacement for Paul Pogba and all that. Paul Pogba with the club, he's won the Europa League. Obviously, he's won the League Cup. Obviously, that came in his second season with Manchester United. So he has been subjected to a hell of a lot of transfer speculation. So maybe Pogba is frustrated, with the lack of competitiveness and all that. So we'll talk about Romelu Lukaku now. So I was reading reports, more additional information now is updated about Romelu Lukaku. As you all do currently know, he's been relentlessly linked to move to Inter Milan. Obviously, we do know he's one of the problematic players for Manchester United. Like I said, we are working on getting the deal concluded from Wan-Bissaka, but we're also working on sanctioning Romelu Lukaku off. That's something else we are currently working on. So we are working on bringing players in, but we're also working on getting players out of the club, as you all know. But essentially, like I said, he's been relentlessly linked with move to Inter Milan. I was reading Sky Sports yesterday, and he did basically say that Romelu Lukaku's agent had been in Milan, and he did say he'd held talks with Inter Milan of Lukaku's proposed move to Inter Milan. And according to Romelu Lukaku's agent, he's basically said that Inter Milan are trying to sign Romelu Lukaku, and he did basically say did his current agent that Romelu Lukaku does want to make the move to Inter Milan, and he does want to leave Manchester United. But obviously, the fee seems to be problematic, for Inter Milan at the moment, because Inter Milan are struggling, to generate enough funds, to meet the £75 million valuation. Of course, what we are demanding, because we want around 75 million. So basically, we want to recoup, the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago, because we got him for 75 million. Obviously, there was add-ons included, 15 million, which did potentially rise to around 90 million. So he's still got 3 years left on his contract. contract term as Romelu Lukaku. I do believe Lukaku has agreed everything with Inter Milan, except the fee and all that. He says the personal terms have been agreed. I think he's signed a 5-year deal with Inter Milan, so he will be under contract them till 2024. And I think his salary and that's been sorted out, as it did say in the Daily Mail last week. He said reportedly, he's set to get he's agreed a deal with around £180,000 a week and all that. So everything has been agreed, except the fee. But Antonio Conte has obviously identified, Romelu Lukaku as his number one target. Obviously, Lukaku came out the other week and described Antonio Conte as one of the best managers in the world. So obviously, Lukaku, is keen on playing under Antonio Conte's guidance and all that, because probably Lukaku believes he'll flourish under Antonio Conte's guidance. Reflecting back a couple of years ago, when Antonio Conte was the manager of Chelsea, obviously at that point, Antonio Conte, wanted, Romelu Lukaku, but obviously, he ended up, making the move to Manchester United. But like I said, Lukaku's one of the problematic players. Obviously, he's been at the club over 2 seasons. Obviously, he was exceptional his first season with Manchester United, but didn't really replicate that in his second season. But actually, he scored 42 goals in 96 games in all competitions in his 2 seasons at the club. When Mourinho was here, Lukaku was first choice, but since Mourinho left, and obviously since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's come in, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has preferred the likes of Marcus Rashford ahead of Romelu Lukaku. And obviously, Lukaku is obviously reluctant, to play a backup role to Marcus Rashford. So like I said, yeah, he's been, relentlessly, linked to a move to Inter Milan, but we've got to get rid of Lukaku, like I said. And if he does go, obviously, we're going to need a replacement for him, because obviously that was another issue last season. Wasn't scoring enough goals, wasn't ruthless enough in front of goal and all that. So we definitely need to bring someone in. Of course, if Lukaku is to leave the club, but I do think it will currently happen. Manchester United have been negotiating, with Inter Milan over coming to an agreement on a fee, but you do know that I've got strong reservations about Lukaku. His first touch concerns me, not really good in the air. Hasn't got that endless potential. He's a big game bottler, so I think, definitely Manchester United have got to get rid of him. But his pedigree is very, very good in the Premier League, and his ratio is still very, very good in the Premier League is Romelu Lukaku's. But yeah, maybe we think he's probably worth around 70 or 80 million pounds, because obviously, he's only 26 years of age, he's still in his prime. He has still got a lot of years ahead of him. Obviously, reports have been coming out saying that, Inter Milan have offered his Mario Icardi in exchange for Romelu Lukaku and all that. I would like to see Mario Icardi as part of the deal for Romelu Lukaku, if I'm going to be quite honest with you, because Mario Icardi's goals, he's got a good goal scoring pedigree and all that. Obviously hasn't played in the Premier League as yet. Mario Icardi has been at Inter Milan for 6 years, and his stats are very, very impressive. And he scored, I think he scored about 111 goals in 188 games for Inter Milan, so that is very, very impressive. And I do believe if he came to the Premier League, he'd exceed expectation levels. Obviously, it would rejuvenate his career and all that, but he's spent the majority of his career in Italy. He's had 6 good years with Inter Milan. Obviously enjoyed a difficult season last season with Inter Milan, because obviously Inter Milan have increased and become frustrated with him. Obviously Icardi, lost the captaincy, back in February. So obviously, Inter Milan, do currently, want to offload him. I think he's more or less the same age as Romelu Lukaku, because obviously, Mario Icardi is 26, Romelu Lukaku, of course, is 26. Icardi can score goals and all that. Don't get me wrong, I've got some reservations about him. Some of his touches concern me. When it comes to his defensive abilities, that concerns me. But, his finishing's really, really good. He's an efficient finisher. He can lead the lines. He has got that firepower, and I think he would be fantastic for Manchester United. Would Mario Icardi. So they've offered us Icardi in exchange for Romelu Lukaku, and he did say, I was reading up the other day, we could consider signing Icardi as part of a deal which would see Lukaku make the move to Inter Milan. Obviously, it said the other week that Inter Milan had offered us Ivan Perisic as part of the deal for Romelu Lukaku. Plus they offered us cash, but again Manchester United turned this down, because obviously we know that Ivan Perisic is no longer a Manchester United target. It was a long-term target under Mourinho, but he's no longer now a Manchester United target. So I think we can generate around £200 million, if we sanction Pogba off, and of course if we do sanction Romelu Lukaku off. So who could replace Romelu Lukaku? So I've been reading reports today. Ben Yedder from Seville has been mentioned. He's currently French. He only made his full international debut for France last year and all that. But I don't really know much about him. I think he's about 5'7". He's Ben Yedder. He's 28 years of age, so he is highly experienced. Obviously, he's been at Sevilla about 3 years. I think Sevilla got him back in 2016 from Toulouse for around £9 million. Reportedly says if Lukaku does leave, Manchester United are interested in him, and he did say we are willing to trigger his £35.9 million release clause, because that's his release clause. I think he's under contract with Sevilla until 2021. But I think last season it did say he scored about, I think he scored scored 30 goals and provided 11 assists in 54 games last season, you know, for Sevilla. So that is quite impressive, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. So it does reportedly say, you know, that Manchester United are in for him. Obviously, Manchester United played Sevilla in the Champions League last year. I think it was in March 2018, if I can remember rightly. And it reportedly said, you know, that you know, this Ben Yedder had come off the bench to score 2 goals against us. So yeah, he has got a good goal scoring pedigree of what I've seen of some of his stats and all that. But reportedly does say, you know, we're interested in him if Lukaku of course leaves. So do you think he'd be a good replacement for Romelu Lukaku? He is 28 years of age and he has still got obviously, you know, a lot of development in him. You know, obviously, you know, hasn't played in the Premier League as yet. But yeah, it's proven, you know, that he can score goals. He can score goals. He can provide them and all that. And he's about 5'7". So it does say reportedly Manchester United are in for him. Say Manchester United are in for him. But like I said, I do expect about 3 or 4 players, you know, to leave the club this summer. Maybe 5. Definitely, probably Diamond's going to be going. Probably Rojo's going to be going. So I think we can. So that we can, you know, generate around 25-30 million pounds for their departures. We know Valencia is going. We know obviously Ander Herrera is going. So obviously it's very essential that we do get a replacement for Ander Herrera. With Alexis Sanchez, not too sure about Alexis Sanchez at the moment. There's still reports saying that he could possibly, you know, still be at Manchester United, you know, next season and all that. Obviously it's going to be difficult for us to get rid of him permanently, you know, based on his substantial wages. He's on 400 grand a week, potentially rising up to 500 grand a week, you know, based on the image rights and the bonuses and all that. But maybe Sanchez will still continue playing his trade with Manchester United next season. But we've definitely got somewhere along the line we've got to get rid of him. I think the only way we can get rid of him is probably loaning him out for the probably loaning him out and probably, you know, Man United willing to pay him half of his wages or so. I don't think, you know, we're going to be able to get rid of him permanently. You know, Sanchez is 30, you know, he has lost that yard of pace and basically looking at, you know, he has no future in the club. But, you know, I thought, you know, Sanchez hasn't been the fundamental player as we all thought he would have been. He hasn't exceeded expectation levels as we all thought he would have done because he did have 4 good years at Arsenal. You know, he even played under Guardiola's, you know, guidance at Barcelona, you know, when he was younger and he did really, really well. But he hasn't replicated this at Manchester United and he has been very, very disappointing. You know, he's lacked goals. He's been so inconsistent and all that. Obviously, he's become injury prone, you know, since he has come to Manchester United. So we definitely need to find a way, you know, to currently sanction Alexis Sanchez off. I know he's versatile. He can play numerous positions, but when we've mainly played him, you know, we have put him on that left-hand side. But we know Sanchez really isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice anyway. Obviously, Martial's first choice ahead of Alexis Sanchez. But we've got to get rid of Alexis Sanchez. We know that De Gea is now staying at the club. Obviously, that's guaranteed. Well, nearly guaranteed. You know, we know that now that Juan Mata is, you know, staying at the club and all that. Like I said, Smalling and Jones, you know, shouldn't be at the club next season, but I do believe, you know, they are currently, you know, going to be here. Obviously, Smalling and Jones have been 2 long-serving players at the club. Obviously, Smalling's been here 9 years, Jones has been here 8 years, and they've been very, very inconsistent, you know, to be quite honest with you. Well, they are inconsistent now, you know, don't get me wrong, you know, they've demonstrated over the years that they can hold the lines well. They have shown that ability that they can play out of the back, but I just don't think they're no longer good enough to represent Manchester United. Smalling and Jones, like I said, they've been 2 long-serving players. It was a bad mistake from the club, you know, giving them 2 new long-term contracts and all that. But I just think potentially, you know, we need someone that can partner alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line because Lindelof, you know, flourished last season. He did really, really well in his second season with the club. You know, he struggled in his first season, didn't really settle in, but he did really, really well in his second season, Victor Lindelof, and he will get better and better and better, and he will continue flourishing and all that. But we just need someone that can, you know, complement Victor Lindelof in our back line, and, you know, that's very essential. I don't think Matic should be here next season. Again, I think Matic is far too inconsistent. You know, he's too slow, too ineffective. You know, plus he's aging up and all that. So I think we need to get rid of him, and I think we need a holding midfield. You know, that's fast and tenacious. You know, McTominay, he's too inexperienced at the moment. Obviously we've got Fred, but obviously, no, Fred, you know, I don't know about Fred if he's the long-term solution for Manchester United. If I'm going to be quite honest with you, like I said like I said earlier on in the video, I don't know if he's got the pedigree and all that, or if he's got the abilities, you know, to, you know, if he's got the abilities to fulfill that midfield role. You know, Fred, I'm not too sure. I have got reservations about Fred, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, we definitely, you know, need a holding midfield, and obviously, you know, Fellaini left back in the January transfer window. But like I said, you know, with Bruno Fernandes, I think he would be the adequate replacement for Paul Pogba. Obviously, Yuri Tillemans from Leicester, I think he again would be a good replacement for Paul Pogba. Obviously, reports came out the other week saying that, you know, we'd held talks, you know, with Monaco and all that. He did basically say, we'd revived our interest in Yori Tillemans, and he did say, we'd been in negotiations with his agent over the potentially, possibly, getting a deal concluded and all that. I like Yori Tillemans a lot. He's only 22 years of age. I think Monaco, rate him at around 40 million pounds. I think also Tottenham have been in there for him. Also Manchester City have been in there for him. I think at one point, Arsenal were in for Yori Tillemans. Obviously, he's had 5 or 6 months experience under his belt in the Premier League, because obviously he had been on loan with Leicester, since January, and he was very impressive, throughout his loan spell with Leicester and all that. Obviously now he has returned to Monaco, but I think Yori Tillemans did confirm he probably won't be playing for Monaco next season. But I think Leicester are keen on getting him on a permanent deal. Leicester have been in talks with Monaco about this, of getting him on a permanent deal and all that, because Yori Tillemans was pivotal in Leicester's transformation under Brendan Rodgers. But yeah, Leicester have been in talks of getting him on a permanent deal. Obviously he's under contract with Monaco until 2022. I think he's mainly a box-to-box midfielder, is Yori Tillemans, but also can play as an attacking midfielder. So he has, been on Manchester United's agenda. But I think we was also tracking him, when he was at Anderlecht. Obviously, Yori Tillemans, did begin his career with Anderlecht and all that. So yeah, Yori Tillemans, I think he would be a good replacement for Paul Pogba. Obviously James Maddison as well. I like James Maddison a lot, from Leicester. I really like James Maddison. Obviously, it came out the other week saying that, he reportedly wants to meet with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because he did say he's allegedly, interested in a move to Manchester United, is James Maddison. I think he did say he was a boyhood Manchester United fan, James Maddison, but I like him a lot. Obviously, he's had a year of experience under his belt in the Premier League. Obviously, it was his debut season in the Premier League, last season with Leicester. His debut season in Premier League last season with Leicester, I think he scored 7 goals, provided 7 assists, so he was involved in 14 goals and all that. Also created more chances than any other player in the Premier League, so his stats are very, very impressive. It came out about this story about 3 or 4 weeks ago, saying that Manchester United were in for him, and he did say, we emerged him as a priority target, and it did say, if Leicester were willing to sell him, they would want around 60 million pounds. Obviously, he's got 4 years left on his contract with Leicester. I think he's got 4 years left on his deal. Leicester got him from Norwich last summer, for around 20 million pounds. He did have a good couple of seasons, with Norwich. I think quite a few teams have been tracking him, since he was a teenager at Coventry, because obviously, he began his career with Coventry. Did Yori Tillemans, James Maddison and all that. So grew up, with Coventry. Also, I think had a loan spell in Scotland with Aberdeen and all that. So yeah, very, very good player. He's James Maddison. He is primarily an attacking midfielder. He is British. He is only 22 years of age. So he did say 3 or 4 weeks ago, that Manchester United were in for him. But Leicester said they would want around 60 million pounds. But I think Manchester United, would be happy, to pay 60 million pounds for his services. Very good player. Can score goals. Can provide. Really good at creating chances and all that. And that's the type of players, Manchester United, should be, recommending in and all that. So I do, really, really like James Maddison. So, like I said, there's been so many midfielders on our agenda. And, Sean Longstaff from Newcastle, I think, he could be coming in. Obviously, I think that got confirmed the other week, saying that Manchester United are set to complete a deal for him of around 25 million pounds for Sean Longstaff. Obviously, he's British. He is only 21 years of age. Obviously, began his career with Newcastle, risen up their youth system and all that. I think it was only his first season last season in Newcastle's senior squad. I think he played about 9 games under Rafael Benitez and all that. I think he didn't. I don't think he played the last couple of months of last season because obviously he'd sustained a knee ligament injury. I think that was back in March, so he didn't play the last couple of months of last season. I still believe he's recovering from this knee ligament injury. He's Sean Longstaff. I think he's primarily box-to-box midfielder. And I think he also had loan spells with Kilmarnock and Blackpool and all that. Blackpool and all that, did Sean Longstaff. So yeah, Manchester United are in for him. Like I said, I think Adrian Rabiot is now out of the equation, because like I said, it's looking likely he's going to be going to Juventus. Obviously, I was reading a report yesterday. This was coming from Damasio, who's an Italian journalist. He said that Juventus have won the race for him, and he also said, he said Juventus have won the race for him, and he did mention that Manchester United, he had turned down an offer, from Manchester United, because it did get reported out last week saying that we had offered him lucrative contract, and he said reportedly we offered him a higher salary than what he's currently on at PSG at the moment, you know, Adrien Rabiot, but reportedly from his own preference, he wants to make the move to Juventus. I think reportedly he's set to sign a 5-year deal with Juventus and all that. Obviously, I don't think Juventus will have to pay any fee for him, obviously, because obviously, you know, Adrien Rabiot is a free agent at the end of this month and all that. Obviously, you know, like I said, though, quite a few teams have inquired about his services. You know, Manchester United have been in there, Arsenal had inquired about his services. I mean, Liverpool had expressed their interest in Adrien Rabiot, but it got confirmed the other week, you know, that he'd held negotiations with Juventus. You know, that Adrien Rabiot, you know, he was talking to Juventus. He did say, you know, he was still uncertain, you know, where he would be, you know, applying his trade next season, but I think now it's, you know, been made, his decision's been made, and he's going to be making the move to Juventus. Is Adrien Rabiot. Obviously, Adrien Rabiot spent the majority of his career with PSG. You know, he's been at PSG 8 years, I think about 8 years, so he has been a long-serving player for them. I think he's been, you know, senior squad, you know, since like 2012. Obviously, he's played about 227 games for PSG in all competitions, and obviously, you know, won 5. I think he's won about 5 League One titles. Obviously, you know, he hasn't played one single game for PSG this year. Obviously, you know, he had been withdrawn from the PSG squad last year by Thomas Tuchel, you know, based on his refusal to sign a new contract and all that. So, yeah, Adrien Rabiot's out of the equation, you know, coming to Manchester United, because now he's going to be going to Juventus. I think he's had experience of playing in Manchester as Adrien Rabiot, because he did have a... He did have a spell, you know, with Manchester City, you know, when he was younger and all that. But yeah, don't think Adrien Rabiot now, you know, will be coming to Manchester United. But he's 24 years of age. I think he's primarily a central midfielder. I think it did say, you know, we was willing to offer him £170,000 a week. He did also say there was a sign-on fee included of around 10 million. Obviously, that equates to around £170,000 a week. So I don't think now, you know, Adrien Rabiot's going to be coming in. So, like I said, you know, there has been so many midfielders on our current agenda. So yeah, guys, that's mainly everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.